Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Hope everybody had some time to at least relax this weekend. However, we were just bombarded with a ton of different headlines, and right now, even a lot of political headlines being released. And what this is causing is tensions to arise, uncertainty to spew, and volatility to come. What you see here in the overnight and the future session, dropping down about 0.5%. We're going to be talking about this, especially with tensions between the administration and the Fed even coming out with a response already tonight. We're probably going to see volatility because that's going to continue with macroeconomic data. We do get a lot this week, and we get inflationary data this week. We also get big bank earnings, so that's going to give us some kind of key ideas on how the big banks are doing in this current economy. Now, we're going to be talking about Palantir, some of the names on the watch list, kind of all in the mix of this volatility, and of course, crypto, which is actually getting a bid right now. Bitcoin all of a sudden is kind of increasing, but it always does Sunday night before it gets faded out. So if you're a new or a returning viewer, hit the like button, subscribe for daily videos. Let's pop it up in the channel here. Let's talk about Palantir, kind of what we've always started on this channel. Palantir is currently down about 0.5% in the overnight hours, and it's just no individual news or catalyst with Palantir. Earnings is going to be kind of coming up here, I think, in just a few short weeks, so we'll be talking about that as it gets closer. But nonetheless, the price right here is at 175.86. This price, in my opinion, is just correlated to the volatility that we're seeing in the whole broader market right now. Kind of a lot of the stocks are following along with that. You also do have Palantir here that is currently right now below its 50 and it's 200. Within this whole consolidation kind of zone, Palantir, if it does get some selling pressure, could easily retest these 170s. It has multiple times. I would probably be utilizing that as a support level. And if it fails, that's where Palantir can drop quite quickly for further breakdown. But, it does have a lot of resiliency between the 170 and the 183. So if it hangs out in here, I'm not making any big trades or anything like that with Palantir specifically. It's just kind of hanging out here, waiting for any kind of big catalyst or individual news to bring it up. So nonetheless, that's just kind of where it's at. We'll be keeping it, of course, on the radar. But you see right here, the SPY is down about 0.5%, currently at $690 right now, with the general market that closed on Friday at 96966. So at 6,966 right here, trying to get towards that 7,000. We're not going to get that at the market open. Probably I'll tell you that, as it's going to open around here more around 6,900. Nonetheless, of course, we had that Supreme Court tariff ruling, and they decided, hey, we're not going to issue any opinion, and that was just kind of annoying because everybody was expecting an opinion to be issued. But nonetheless, this is kind of on the top of the radar. That's on the back burner right now as we have future slide as Trump's Department of Justice actually opens criminal investigation into Fed Chair Powell. Now, what this is, this criminal investigation, this is all from federal prosecutors that are looking into the renovations of the Federal Reserve's headquarters in Washington. From when Powell wanted to renovate the buildings, the historic buildings in the Federal Reserve and stuff like that, the Federal Reserve's headquarters, that's what this is all about. And Jerome Powell comes out here with the response. I encourage you guys to go look at the video. It's about 2 minutes long. You don't have to watch it all right here. I encourage you to go watch it after this. The threat of criminal charges, he says here, is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. So he's basically saying that this is a politically led type of investigation. And I think, I don't know, we'll see what happens here. We don't really bring a lot of bias on the channel, no political bipartisan here in the channel, just more kind of looking how is the market going to react to this. Right now, it doesn't seem to be doing quite well. I don't think they like this kind of push, what a lot of people are deeming it as political in terms of this whole investigation regarding the renovations on Powell. I don't think the market likes that because I think it brings uncertainty to the independence of the Fed, which has always been really important. So what you have here is Powell's statement. We'll kind of see how this investigation will play out. We'll probably get more details, hopefully, on it tomorrow. But nonetheless, that's kind of how the market's taking it right now. Good for Powell to stay strong, though. Really, I would say showing bravery in terms of showing the priority and how viable it is. It's important that the Fed remains independent. So that's what we're sitting at right now. We'll see what happens here. You also have here Trump coming out and saying that credit card companies will be in violation of the law if they charge over 10% interest rates after January 20th. That's only 9 days from now. It's going to be only 8 days in the matter of a few hours right here. So you're seeing some overnight market reaction right here, basically saying here he is saying that it abuses the public and so that it will not allow it to continue. So nonetheless, you're getting a lot of volatility here towards the downside. Personally, we don't have any huge changes within the economy, so I think I'll be just looking at this at more dip opportunities in terms of a long-term perspective for my long-term portfolio. Looking here at the SPY here and at the S&P 500 index, if we lose that 6,900, we could be looking more of a possible retesting at that 6,800. There's a decent amount of support at that 6,800, so any dips kind of below there, I'll be looking at, and we'll see if if that breaks down to that level. Looking at some of the stocks that I'll be keeping on my radar. In terms of the volatility from this whole credit card thing, 10% by January 20th, I don't know if they can make it that fast. We'll see what happens with that. That's where you're just kind of seeing uncertainty across the board. Stocks that we talked about on the channel before, like SoFi, very interesting price action after this thing shot up to 29 and got shot right back to 26. Very interesting price action, I'll tell you that. But you can see down about 2% here in the overnight session. Hood right here is down about 0.3%, not facing as much of a kind of selling pressure as SoFi, but nonetheless, stocks that I'm currently interested in terms of short-term kind of more swing trades. I'm really liking the look of Path right now. Personally, I like it around this area because it's kind of around the support area right here. It was kind of sold off from this last push up here to about this $18 resistance. We've seen Path here in early December here that pushed up to 20. I kind of was involved a little bit with the swing trade right here, sold out a little bit below that local high that we saw. But I like Path right here in terms of the whole theme for agentic AI in 2026. More of a long-term type of option play currently, but I do like where that sits. Also here with Zeta, kind of same thing. However, Zeta is around these kind of big highs over the last week. We could possibly get a retesting down here into the 20s. It's all possible. We'll see what happens, but it's holding strong in the overnight session here, actually up about 31 cents. So I do like this play for Zeta right now. If Zeta is able to break above this 24, that's where you could see it possibly moves back up here into the 30 area, depending on this breakout, depending if it does get validated, depending if it does get hold. That's why it's kind of just more of a smaller risk type play, but that's where we're sitting with Zeta. Other names that I'm currently looking at, of course, we have ASST we've been talking about, which is at an interesting spot right now, and BMNR. BMNR currently is up about 3% at $30.94, and you got ASST stride right here, right beneath the dollar. And that is because right now, cryptocurrency is actually experiencing a little bit of a bid. We see Bitcoin right here at 92,000 here, a little bit of buying pressure when it was basically sitting at around 90,000 all weekend. Has been able to hold that support level. 90,000 has been a decent floor for Bitcoin, and likewise here for Ethereum. 3,000, 3,100 has been a pretty good floor for Ethereum. So we'll see what happens with these two cryptos. Maybe with some of the uncertainty here with the Fed and kind of between what's the pressure and the future going to look like from in terms of the administration and political pressure for the Fed. That's where decentralization comes more into play. In terms of people that are really kind of anti type of administration and like the whole decentralization aspect, that's where possibly could be getting a little bit of a bid here for Bitcoin, even though it is getting highly correlated to how the markets are trading. But we'll see what happens. That is kind of decoupling a little bit as we speak, but we'll see if this gets a move. If this does get a move, you could see another pushback here to the 94. I think once you get that push to the 94, and that's where you're going to see more of a push possibly back to 100. But we'll see what happens when, with that in terms of Bitcoin. It's very unpredictable. It's kind of the wild, wild west in its own nature. But other than that, Other stocks that I'm liking, of course, IREN, Cypher, currently not in the names. We're seeing tons of swings here and volatility. IREN got a nice bid on Friday. What's happening with these stocks, they get these nice market open pushes and a lot of buying pressure, and then they kind of get faded midday, and which isn't necessarily a bad thing. In terms of swing traders, are probably taking a lot of advantage of that, but you see IREN here, that basically it's a little bit of resistance at the 50, comes back here, closes at 46, and right now in the overnight session is up about 48 bucks right now, up about another $2. So we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys later.